Bonjour tout le monde, or welcome to Weekday Wanderings in Paris. My name is Jacqui. Today we're in the first arrondissement, le premier arrondissement. We're in the Place Dauphine, and we are experiencing a beautiful sunny day here today. It's a little bit windy, but the temperature is just right, not too hot, not too cold, but I'm sure it will change. So the Place Dauphine is a very, very pretty place, and it's a bit quiet this morning. It's still early, so I'll show you where we are. So the Place Dauphine is located on the western edge of the Ile de la Cité. Bonjour Judy. Okay, now we have all this road down here is blocked off. Bonjour René, ça va? I hope you're well. So this building here is the Palais de Justice. We normally are used to seeing it on the other side, next to Saint-Chapelle. Bonjour Kim. Bonjour Sally. How are you? Okay, so as I said, this part is all blocked off because we are still experiencing the trial for the November 2015 terrorist attacks. And so of course this whole area is blocked off for security reasons. This is the entrance where the press and the lawyers enter from. And of course I just spoke to the security guards over there. Bonjour Karen. And she tells me, they tell me that, well, the trial was supposed to end June 2022, which is now, but they said that they are nowhere near finished, so this is no doubt going to be continuing for quite a while. Okay, so this whole area here, normally people can sit up here, but it's been blocked off for security reasons. Okay, so this area is really beautiful. A lot of these buildings are very old, they date from the 1600s. It's a very popular area. Bonjour, Jen Lee, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Okay, we've got a large group of children here, school children, who have gone to visit this really old shop here, which is an atelier de relieu, which is restoration of old books. Bonjour Robin Noel, thank you for joining us. So beautiful, beautiful buildings here. So this was private land for the king. The Place Dauphine is named for the Dauphin, who was Louis the 13th. Okay, so he was the son of Henry IV. Bonjour Glenda May, welcome, thank you for joining us. So lots of cafes here. You can imagine by lunchtime this is going to be packed with people, you know, visiting these lots of cafes around. That's going to spread out as we get closer towards lunchtime. Okay, so this area is very historic for many reasons. So what we're actually visiting today is the Pont Neuf. Now we have been around and about the Pont Neuf before. But this is probably just a bit more intensive around Pont Neuf itself. Judy says, I love this spot, usually very peaceful. It is very peaceful. There's a little bit of traffic going on, early morning deliveries and such, but and the kids and everything, but yeah, it's a lovely, lovely tranquil spot. Okay. Now I'm just going to show this is number 26, and according to this panel here, tells me that the Place Dauphine was opened as a public park in 1970, so it's relatively new in terms of being a public area. But number 26 has a dodgy past. There was here set up a boucher, which is a stake, you know, where they burn people, and I'll talk about who was burned here very soon. Okay, so we're heading out this way now, and this part goes out towards the Pont Neuf. So this used to originally was the very tip of the Ile de la Cité. Pont Neuf was constructed. It started around the 1570s, late 1570s, first of all under Henry the Third, and then he died and was assassinated, and his brother-in-law Henry the Fourth took over. Okay, and that's Henry the Fourth over there, big equestrian statue to Henry the Fourth. Bonjour to everybody who's joined us. We have 12 people online at the moment. So yeah, the Pont Neuf was completed in the early part of the 1600s. Okay, this is the Quai des Orfèvres, and the Orfèvres are silver merchants. So this area was extremely popular around the 1700s. The bridge it's called the Pont Neuf, which means the new bridge. But in fact it was the first bridge made of stone, and it was the first bridge that was not covered. Normally they were covered and they had houses on them, and this was the first one that was created out of stone and without any of the coverings or houses, and it's the only one that subsisted, which is why it's so old. Bonjour Sue, bonjour from the Charente, thank you for joining us. Okay, so a bit noisier out here. It's a beautiful day, quite busy, because these arcades here are quite emblematic of the Pont Neuf. They were actually shops. So originally when they started building it, it was going to have houses and buildings like normal bridges had in the era, but then they decided, no, let's keep it clean. And instead these rounded areas here were for shops and stalls. So this was a big market area. You had a lot of silver merchants, you had dentists along here, people who would clip your dogs here, and there were also booksellers. Okay, Kim Dixon says, I always avoid the Ile de la Cité due to Notre Dame crowds. What an idiot. Well, I mean, it is beautiful, isn't it? Hopefully when you come back, Kim, you can enjoy it a bit more. So we're heading down towards the 6th arrondissement. Okay, so we're looking there towards Place Saint-Michel over there. So it starts to get a bit busier here. Trying to avoid pointing at the crowds of people walking towards me. Look at these. These buildings are from the era, from the 1600s, and I want to go over here, but it's a bit tricky and noisy to go over there. But it's a beautiful building here. I saw a lady up in that middle balcony up there yesterday, and I kept thinking, what an amazing apartment she must have. Okay, so the street down there is the Rue Dauphine, again named after Louis XIII. Crossing the road. Okay, so this little alleyway here is beautiful. There's a little pub in there called the Highlander. Bit of a Scottish take. Beautiful apartments, yeah. So this Rue Dauphine has a lot of art galleries down here. Lots and lots of beautiful art galleries, and as Judy said, there's some jewellery shops over here, so that harks back to when you had silver vendors along here. Now, speaking of silver, what we have on the corner here is the Monnaie de Paris, which is the French mint. So that's this large building here. And of course, just along from that is the Institut de France, which we've been to before. Glenda May says, La Rue Dauphine, ma rue préférée. It's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, along here we have a lot of the bouquinistes. So one of the vendors, one of the types of vendors that they had were booksellers, and these booksellers would obviously, you know, sell their wares along here, second-hand books, but there were also a lot of new book vendors along this area, and they were actually outlawed at one point, but obviously they've come back. The Monet de Paris is a must to visit. So I was at the Monet de Paris about a month ago. Let's just read this here. It says Pont Neuf commence sous Henri III, achevé sur Henri IV le Grand, 1578 1607. Okay, so that's Pont Neuf, started under Henry IV and finished under Henry III, finished under Henry IV, the Great, 1578 to 1607. So yeah, I went to the Monet. I had a very brief visit there. I was only there for like 45 minutes, but I did take a few photos. I can share some of those with this post. Okay, so if you have a look, there's all of these. You see the masks on the bridge? There's about 380 something going all along. Pretty, huh? Those aren't original. The bridge was retouched up in the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s, and then obviously they were always doing restoration work. So those masks were reformed from the original molds. There are 4 of the original masks which are in the Musée Carnavalet. What a beautiful view! Lots and lots of people around. It's we're coming to the end of the school year, and a lot of kids doing walking tours and things like that around. So what we have in this beautiful view here, apart from the quay with all the beautiful boats here, we're looking of course towards the Louvre there. Okay, and we're going to head down to this beautiful little park here, which is all Glenda May asked, are they all different? So referring to the masks, yes, they are all different. We'll get a closer look when we go down to the park here. So this park actually constitutes 3 small islands that once existed. So if you can imagine, this here would have been the tip of the Ile de la Cité originally, and then you had these 3 small islands here. One of the islands was called, well, it had many names, but at one point it was called l'Île aux Juifs, which means the Jews' island. The reason it was called that was because they used to persecute and execute Jews there, which is in the Middle Ages, which was pretty horrible. But also it was changed to from the name Ile des Templiers, and that's because they also persecuted or executed Templar Knights there. Okay, over here we've got the Pont des Arts, looking lovely. Karen says, oh, Mona says hi. Mona's over her jet lag. Mona's just returned from an epic trip around Europe, and I had the pleasure of meeting Mona and spending some very special times with her, so special shout out to Mona today. Karen says, it's funny, I never get to see Paris so green as I'm always there in winter. Winter's beautiful too though, but yeah, it is pretty at the moment. Okay, so we're going to go up this way now. Judy says, oh Jacqui, I'm overdue for a trip to Paris, as are many others. We almost live for these weekly immersion videos. I'm so pleased to hear that. That makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? Oh, somebody's not happy over there. Road rage is a thing here. Okay. They said that back in the 1700s that the Pont Neuf was such a popular thoroughfare that if you were to stand here and not see somebody in 3 days, then it must mean that they're no longer in Paris, because everybody used to come here. Okay, so Place Dauphine, the entrance is just over there. Okay, so if you look at these ugly wooden things here, it is obviously a work in progress. It's not what they want to have in general, but we've had to put this there because of these horrible love locks that people keep putting everywhere. We're trying to avoid that, but it's really tricky. Okay, let's have a look at this lovely equestrian statue of Henri IV, Henry IV the Great. So, because the bridge was finished under him, this area was really dedicated to him. So, again, when we talk about the Place Dauphine, we're referring to his son. And so, anyway, this statue was erected. It was made just before he died, but then, of course, when he died, it was finished and then popped up here. And then in the French Revolution, of course, it was torn down and melted down. And then after the Bourbon Restoration under Louis XVIII, it was remolded from the original mold and put back again. Now, inside is got some plans about the edict which established the Pont Neuf and some personal possessions of Henry IV. And there's also rumoured to be a small statue of Napoleon Bonaparte. Apparently the artisan who created this redone statue was a real Napoleon fan, so he put that inside just to troll them, I think. Bloody locks again, says Kim. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so just having a quick look down here to the La Samaritaine, which of course is all up and running again. Now I just did a quick search. Le Cheval Blanc, which is the hotel which we're actually looking at as part of the La Samaritaine. If you want to stay there, I think the cheapest suite is like €2,500 per night. So I certainly won't be going there. Alright, so this bridge is actually in two halves. You've got this half here, which has 7 arches, and the part behind us, which has 5. Now, as I said, these rounded parts were where shops used to be. But actually, if you look to the second one along from the far end, that was actually where there was a pump, a water pump. And this water pump used to service the whole Louvre quartier. And it was called La Pompe de la Samaritaine. There was a statue on it which depicted the Samaritan, you know, from the parable about Jesus and the Samaritan at the well. And when the pump was disestablished, the area, or the little nook there, was taken up by a man named Ernest Cognac, who was selling his wares there. And Ernest Cognac, if you know, was the man who established La Samaritaine. So that's why he named the shopping building there, La Samaritaine, after the pump house where he originally had his store. That's pretty good. Sally said, people need to get over the locks. They're so disgusting. The locks are well and truly alive and kicking, which is really disappointing. Okay. Right, I need to keep track of time. I'm always running over time. I get really into what I'm doing and lose track of time, so I need to try and cut things a bit short. Okay, so we're going down here. So this is the part which was added on. So those 3 islands I was talking about were basically put together and filled in the gaps and created into this area, this beautiful little park. Okay. So we've got the Weekday du Pont Neuf, so that's the boat trip that you can take from there. Okay, so here you can get a closer look at all of these masks. Okay. We have a couple of memorials here as well. We have this memorial plaque here, which is dedicated to Jacques de Molay, who was the last Grand Master of the Templar Knights, and he was executed here. Well, actually at number 26 back in Place Dauphine, but for some reason there's a bit of well, incongruity as to where exactly that bûcher was. But here we go. There's also a memorial here to the massacre de la Saint-Barthélemy. Yes, the St. Bartholomew's massacre, which was after the marriage of Henry IV to Marie de Valois, and on the night of their wedding there was a massacre, and all the Huguenots, so all of the Protestants, were all massacred in this area and all the roundabout areas. Glenda May says council officers to fine and then cut them off. Unfortunately, we have people who actually sell these things and nobody says anything to them. It really annoys me. There are still people on the Pont Neuf who sell them, which is just very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So I've recently been coming here for picnics with friends in the evening. It's a beautiful location. Nice little nook there. It's gorgeous. It's very nice and tranquil and relaxing and enjoyable. So another little view of La Samaritaine and the Pont Neuf over that way. So this weekend we have legislative elections. So we will be voting on Sunday this week, and then we do more voting on the following Sunday. Following or the one after? I can't remember. So anyway, we're voting this weekend. We have the sapeurs-pompiers there, which is the fire brigade. This is the water-based fire brigade. So again, this big building here is the Monnaie de Paris. Oh, one of the other islands that basically we're standing on, there was a water pump on here, sorry, a water mill, a moulin, and that was where they originally had the monnaie of France, or of Paris, where they stamped out coins. That was in the early part of the 15 and the 1600s. Okay, and voila. And then we've got the Institut de France just over there, and of course we've got the Pont des Arts over here, and the Louvre over here. And this goes right to a point under these willow trees, which is quite beautiful. Look, see, we have more of these horrible padlocks here, but anyway, et voila, there we go, Le Pont Neuf. Isn't that cool? These are the views which restore my soul. It's a lovely reminder that I'm here in Paris. So I'm going to cut it off at there, because otherwise I'll be babbling forever. Let's take a final look down to the, oh, I forgot to mention, this is called the Square du Vert Galant. A Vert Galant is someone with insatiable sexual appetites. There was a hanging tree here. Yes, there was a hanging tree. They did lots of executions and stuff in this area. Yes, they did indeed. Pretty scary, huh? But Le Vert Galant refers to Henry IV, who was a sprightly man, had lots and lots of mistresses, and they've named it after him basically. So that's a bit, as they say, coquin. Yes, yes, I mean to hang people from. Yes, lots of executions and stuff where took place here. So that's pretty morbid, isn't it? But anyway, et voila. Okay, what a lovely sentiment. Restores your soul. Yes, indeed, it restores my soul. So, oh, there's a little memorial here to Franco-Canadian relations. Just flip this over for any Canadians out there. This stone has been brought all the way from Montreal. Voila. Okay, So I'll do my sign off. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little quick visit to the Pont Neuf and the Square de Vergalan. I hope you have a wonderful day or night or weekend, wherever you are. I want you to take care of yourselves and be kind to everybody, and we will see you next Friday. Take care, everybody. See you. I'm surrounded by dogs here. Okay, bye everyone. Thanks Robin, thanks Glenda May.